G'day YouTube, welcome back to my channel. Now I'm up to, if you've been following my repotting videos of late, now I'm finally getting up to my last two very large trident maples. Now I'm a bit of a mess for repotting. Hopefully you can see the size of me to this tree. Yeah, it's a big boy, big tree, but it's got to be repotted this year because I haven't repotted it for 2 years, and it needs to be repotted. Simple as that. This is hard work. I always dread doing these bigger trees, as most people probably dread if they've got bigger trees, but got to be done and we've got to get stuck into it. Same process as always with my trees. Just get through it. I might have to maneuver the tree in certain ways just to be safe, because I know I want to keep showing you guys the tree and how it looks, but the safety of the tree is more important. But yeah, let's try and work our way through it. I don't even know if this tree's tied in, to be honest. Yes, it is. It's tied in. So the interesting thing is tied in this way and this way. But you can see this space. It's kind of covered with all the moss. So let's remove the moss and we'll have a look at what it looks like. But then you can see why. Yeah, another beautiful tree of mine. Oh, I love it. So let's see what it looks like. I'll try and clean the moss off so you can see the great nebari on this tree. I don't like having too much moss on the trunk. I like it at the base. But what happens in winter, if you don't really look at your trees as much, the moss tends to grow and really gets into there and grows up the trunk. And then it starts to not rot. Yeah, it starts to remove the kind of bark, which I don't want to happen. So slowly removing that, you can probably start to see the nice barry already. I find some big weeds I've got to get out. I love this root hook, because the root hooks are really great. Good thing is I'm finding lots of nice fine roots in there starting to grow, and they'll fill in all this area and keep the nebari growing quite nice and strong and healthy over time. So yeah. Sometimes lots of moss. I'm not really fussed about the moss. Sometimes see that just grew naturally. I didn't put it on there or anything like that. It just grows naturally. I do use my rainwater, tank water. So I know my roof has moss on there, so maybe that picks up the spores and brings them down in that water. So that could be why. Also, the good conditions, moist conditions, moss grows. So in winter, Melbourne's quite moist, I guess. Not too many dry days in winter, so I barely water my trees at all in winter. I let the rain do it, and they're not really growing at this time of year, so there's no real need to water them in my case. I do check newly potted trees, so because they're in a new mix, the soil is fresh and new and can dry out. So whereas this, you can see with all the moss protects the soil from evaporating too much. Well, that's what I find. I don't know if that's scientific or anything, but that's what I just find, is that the moss will prevent the loss of moisture. So this tree's going to take a while to repot. This takes me probably a good half hour, I think, to do, because I like to take my time as well, and I do it gradually, step by step. So first thing, I'm going to try and clean up, so you can see the cleanness of this trunk. Now I use my toothbrush only when I'm doing the finer work. This is just easy to get all this moss off. I don't need to use a toothbrush. I need to really scrape off the moss. You always forget how good the nebari is when the moss covers it, and that's the problem. If moss goes up the trunk, you can't see the nebari. or the root spread. Nebari means root spread. in Japanese, I believe. Well, that's what I refer to it as. Now I can see the wires that are in the tree, so I'd come in and cut those off. But let me give you a look at that nebari. So you can see why, once you get rid of the moss, the tree looks totally different. It looks really very, very, like that's my hand. So quite substantial, quite nice. Let's get stuck into the repotting. Let's go. We might get rid of these wires. They're tying the tree in. If you see some, I tend to see some weeds, seeds of weeds, so make sure you try and pull the weeds out, especially if you see these seeds, because they'll just keep growing every time. So there's been, so instead of the tree being wired that way behind it, it's been wired across and across. I must have done that to protect the nebari, I think. So yeah, so that's off. That's off. All right. Now this container is a Yamafusa Japanese pot. Now you can only, I can estimate what this is worth these days. Beautiful glaze on it. Beautiful pot for this tree. I couldn't match a better tree to a pot. I mean, couldn't match a better pot to this tree. I think there's a lip on this tree. So the lip just comes around the top and there's a little gap on the inside, so that means the roots have grown into it. Makes it very hard to get the tree out. So I'm just going to work slowly. This is going to be difficult, I think, and a long process. So I don't know how much of this I'll show you live. I might do a time lapse on the repotting. Might have to do time lapse on this. This is going to take me a little bit. Or maybe you guys can just fast forward if you really want to. I'll let you guys fast forward this section if you need. But it's pretty much trying to get my root hooked in underneath. Try not to damage the pot too, so you got to be careful. Get under, not just try and tweak it. So sometimes I am, as I said in other videos, I'm contemplating repotting every 2 years my tridents, but sometimes when I get up to my big trees, even though they're hard work to repot, I think it's harder to repot every 2 years because, as you can see, I am struggling to really get this tree right out of the pot. Whereas other videos you've seen, with a bit of work, bit of finessing, you can get it out. But I expect this tree to be hard work. Well, it's going to be full of it, so I can guarantee that, as you've seen with other videos. The other thing with this tree, it is defoliated. So I do like to defoliate this tree because I find that this tree ramifies or grows lots of little fine twigs and branches very quickly, and I want to keep the process up. So it's starting to rock a little bit. Oh, almost. Alright, just got to concentrate here. It's hard to concentrate and talk, so I'm very humbled by how professional artists, bonsai people, bonsai professionals can talk so much while they demonstrate. It's quite impressive. You do work up a sweat with the bigger trees. Oh, it's starting to. Almost there. Now I try and push the tree while I use my rake. almost there. So the other thing I do sometimes, I'll try to show you, is use my weight. It's not going to work either. So I think it's just so much roots in there. That's better. Almost. Come on. Now you know why I don't like, or I leave the big ones to last. Oh, I don't like repotting because they are a mountain of work to do. There we go. Oh. No surprise at all. It is so root bound. So much roots. Let's go. Okay. So there we go. That's the size of this container. Pretty big. Looks like none of the mesh is still on there, which means it's all grown into it. Oh, actually, there's one there. There's one mesh there. So that means the roots have swallowed them up. And just to show you, if anyone's interested, the Japanese Yamafusa pot. There it is, the signature. And I'll put that down. Oh, I need a break. That was hard. So, just show you the roots before I start to really work my way out. So it is solid as again. So there you go. I just wanted to show you how much work it does to take it out of its pot. Now it's just a rinse and repeat of prune out the roots. Spread the roots out, trim them all off, wash the old soil away, and then get ready for repotting. Prepare the pot. So it'll be the same process. I will do a speed up of this video next bit, just so you know what I'm doing. Anyway, I need to catch my breath. Speak soon. can carry it one hand, but there you go. So, repotted, root pruned, washed all the soil out, all the old soil. It's pretty much ready to go. Now it's getting it into that pot again. No big issue. It's pretty straightforward. So just get some soil in. I'm gonna have to have a break before I get my last big trident repotting done. So these bigger trees take up quite a bit of soil. So I always make sure I'm prepared and have lots of soil ready for when I repot. So I have 2 rubbish bins full kind of thing. Alright. Okay. Now, this doesn't necessarily go right in the middle. It just goes, from memory, just slightly to the right. Because of this, I think I'm slightly to the left. Yeah, you can see how the trunk isn't so straight. It just tilts a little bit this way, so it has to be just a tiny bit to the right to counterbalance that little lean to the left. Now I could, this takes a lot of effort to work it in. Yeah, so I think it's just slightly to the right. Now it's a very big tree, you're probably not going to see the entire thing. I'm going to try and get it for you. It's great if you've got 2 people and you work on bigger trees, but I don't have that luxury. Now sometimes this tree, it just slightly leans backwards. I don't like that. I want it to come a bit forward, so I usually work it down in the middle, in the front more. Just needs to go slightly, or I put some soil at the back to raise it. Okay, let's have a look. Okay. I'm kind of happy-ish with that. Just need a bit of soil. Now I think what I'm going to do is to get it to come back this way, is prop it up a little bit with soil underneath this side. And get the soil worked in underneath there, fill in those gaps. That's better. So you can adjust the angle just by having soil at different levels and tilting the tree up. So I want to get a little bit at the back to get that underneath, so it comes forward a bit. Now you can see I haven't tied it in yet because I haven't got the final position ready. So you only tie it in when you've got the final position worked out and ready. Okay, so I'm happy with that. So let's get soil in just to tighten it up. So it's finalising this repot. Want to make sure the soil's in before I tie it. It's starting to get cold again, so I feel the rain coming in again. So it's good I'm finishing this up for now. Now, just get all the soil in. Let's work my way in. Chopsticks are great to work with the air pockets and soil. So you can see it's coming along really well. And pretty much what's left to do, give this a water in and back in its position, which is just to the right. So you might have seen that in previous videos where it's just on the right. So I'll just water this in and I'll show you the final product and we're done, guys. So here's the final tree repotted. There's the base. Here's the clean pot. And it's back on its pedestal there and looking really good. That's the roots that came off, quite substantial. But there you have it, guys, another repotting done and only one more big trident to go and then I'll be done for the year. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. As always, please subscribe to my channel for updates of new videos. See you guys.